in the city of sun. The sacredness flickered in the candlelight as a crowd carried it with pride. Their shallow hearts were filled with self-esteem. The shimmering colors of the clergyman's reddish-yellow robes stood out harshly in the parched valley, evoking a sense of nausea. There was no man among them, as humanity seemed absent. The spirit felt cold despite the dry heat. When the mob reached the downtown square, a bonfire was already prepared. In this beautiful southern city, blasphemy was to be eradicated from the world, all at the request of noblemen and in the presence of fair ladies. He stood accused of being the source of all suffering, the reason for all conflicts, and the cause of all wars, whether hidden or revealed. The Holy Fathers rendered an irrevocable verdict, and this afternoon an act of faith was to be performed. At the start of the trial, the conservative priests faced a challenge as they struggled to find a legitimate reason to charge him. No actual grounds for the accusation existed. However, they had already apprehended their victim, and all canonical monks would rather die than allow him to escape from their fanatical grasp. The twisted mindset behind the trial concocted a motive. His lack of fear of death implied that he claimed divine attributes. Such an attitude could easily influence the minds of ordinary people with overwhelming strength unless it was stopped, confined, suppressed, eradicated, or destroyed at its inception. Thus, he was found guilty of bringing turmoil to the city. Naftobigi, congregation, and the elite of the borough, all adorned in snazzy apparel, officially charged him, and no one could blame them for breaking the law. But whom were those godless creatures afraid of? Perhaps their own false deity? Or did they fear the judgment of the next generation? Many arguments have been presented to support the verdict. The announcers accused him of every imaginable sin. Anyone who had ever wished to speak out but found no audience before testified. There was neither a time limit nor a sense of conscience. A widow's house was burned down and the judge blamed him. A gambler squandered all his fortune at a casino. The court acquitted him and placed the blame for his loss on the rogue who had tempted the gentleman. A young woman committed suicide, and no one doubted that the villain had caused the tragedy. A merchant was mugged on the highway, and everyone believed that the scoundrel in question must be the captain of the brigands. A commander lost a war, and once again he was held responsible for the failure. He spreads the iniquities all over the court. The furious sopranos declared sonorously from their extravagant attire. The peasants rebelled against the crown because of the ringleader who encouraged them. The royal velvet roared with rage. Soon the entire world will be destroyed. By his actions, echoed the Jesuits in their black robes through the monastery. The arches of Escorial resounded with their voices. A fresh tone from the bass choir reached the ears of dusty ghosts, eternally trapped in cobwebs between the mossy stones. He was found guilty of being complicit in all referred evils. "Here! Here!" shouted a swarm of religious zealots in unison as they dragged him off from the courtroom. The sovereign supported the congregation in doing the will of God and the people, and they all decided to punish the heretic by burning him at the stake. Even with the penalty they imposed, the weary monks felt it was not enough for his crimes, but they could not think of a stricter punishment after such a long process. It was late afternoon, and the crowd began to feel anxious due to the delay. Everyone wanted to witness the execution immediately. His last wish was to pray in the cathedral, which was granted. Yet they warned him that he could not escape his fate, even if he atoned for his sins. The remark from the executioners met with his blank smile, which they interpreted as devilish impudence, causing them to panic. Religious ecstasy blinded the commoners, and some almost dared to hurl stones at the heretic right in the house of God. After a brief prayer, he stepped out of the cathedral and pulled off his skimpy hood, revealing his head. His handsome face sparkled in a shaft of sunlight. Struck by his ethereal magnificence, the enchanted crowd hesitated, unsure whether to hate or pity him. Still, none showed their true feelings. The crowd could not veer from the path they had chosen. Their obstinacy stemmed from the four-legged creatures that had roamed the earth since the dawn of civilization. A bonfire blazed in the wind, flickering despite the stillness of the hot, airless day. Tied to a pillar with his hands raised, he was engulfed in flames, but not burned. For a time this went unnoticed, but soon a dreadful fear rippled through the sea of heads. Panic spread across the wide square as the executioners added more wood to the bonfire, trying to calm the frightened believers and hasten the proceedings. Raising his eyes to the sky, he gazed at the sun. His youthful and striking appearance captivated the onlookers even more. The crowd at his feet hummed with a mix of hidden adoration and fear. After a while, it became evident that he was truly burning. However, this auto-da-fe was unlike any the people had ever seen or heard about before. They could not comprehend that the truth had been revealed when the Lord honored them with a miracle. It remained forever unclear why a display of such senselessness had been given such significant weight by the Supreme Being. They were oblivious to the gift they had received. These were chaotic times. As he burned translucently, he continued to smile at the sun. When night fell, the bonfire extinguished, but flames still surrounded him, making it seem as if he floated above the square. A monk in black approached him timidly. This newborn apostle Thomas was frightened, yet he dared to reach out and touch him. And at that moment, the substance of the heretic vanished without a trace. Mr. Boldness confidently declared that the greatest evil had been defeated and congratulated the trembling crowd on their victory. This event has entered history as the last act of faith. But it did not occur in Valencia in 1826 AD. It belonged to an eternal past. On that day, people attempted to extinguish the truth, which had been ignited by love's fire. Not everyone shared the fervor of the canonical monks from the southern city and their kindred spirits who spread across the world, supporting the fulfillment of this holy duty. Motivated by similar ideals, Napoleon banned 70 newspapers, allowing only 4 to remain, and subjected them to intense censorship. Throughout history, innovators have sought to save the world, at least according to their mottos. What futility! Shakespeare endeavored to open their eyes to the truth. Love's fire heats water. Water cools not love. Alas, preaching in a desert is often futile.